Good evening, everyone. This is Randy Small, Whatcom County weather, and we are going live here tonight just to kind of check things out, see if there's any updates from our live from last night. So, just want to welcome everyone as we get both the Facebook and the YouTube lives going. Hopefully, you can hear me just fine, and we'll just kind of let a few people pop on. I like doing lives, but I may start doing some short video updates along the way as well that I just record and put on the page and also on YouTube. But I enjoy the interaction on the lives and the chat and all of that. So welcome. Again, if you're following on YouTube, hopefully you can hear me. Maybe somebody can let me know. If you're following on Facebook, let me know if everything is sounding good, and then we'll just do a quick update tonight. Maybe not be on too long. Let me drop the YouTube stream link into the Facebook just in case anybody over on Facebook wants to watch it on YouTube, where we're trying to build up watch hours. And so I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll get into what's coming up this week. And again, if you're on Facebook and you have YouTube, even if you're not watching it on YouTube, or if you would prefer to watch it on YouTube, we need watch hours over there. We need to get to 500 and then to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button anywhere, either stream. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you watch on YouTube if you're able. Otherwise, Facebook is great as well. Okay, Jen says we're all good. So hopefully we will, and Mickey says we're good. So let's go ahead and get started then. And we're going to start off with the observations tonight. I've kind of made a few changes to my window setup here. We'll see if we can see things a little better. But again, tonight we're having mostly 40s here, and it's not the 1940s, but it's temps in the 40s here around the county. So don't really need to show much there. You can see that up on the mountain, 3,000 feet, 30. And at Heather Meadows, it's 27 tonight up at near the ski area, or at the ski area. We got a little bit of northeast wind, northeast in the up here in North County, and southerly light flow, maybe a little bit stronger by out here in Ferndale, and then up here in Birch Bay Village, but nothing in the 10, 11 mile an hour gust range. So as I drag this down to South Whatcom, just a little bit of southerly flow off of Lake Whatcom, down into Skagit, we've got not a whole lot of wind. Maybe, just a little bit, but not much. 40s out in Anacortes, 42 there along between I-5 and Chuckanut, 41 at Skagit Regional Airport, 40 over on the island, at the Naval Air Station. And again, not a lot of wind as we take a brief look up across the border. We're just about all in the 40s, which translates into, a few degrees Celsius, somewhere above 3 or 4 degrees, I would guess. But anyway, mostly in the 40s. And not seeing anything below that. But with the cloud cover, that's what we are seeing tonight. Let's just check to see what the 24-hour precipitation. Not a whole lot here. BC did, and I don't know if that was, that still might have counted. Yeah, let me change this real quick to just today, because that's picking up last night's precipitation, I think. There we go. So this is through 8 p.m. For some reason, it has not updated. Let me see if I can move to the 9 p.m. Okay, so yeah, not bad totals up here north of the Fraser. And then down here, we've had less today, almost 1/10 of an inch here in Linden. Up here kind of in the Semiahmoo White Rock area, just there right on the border. 0.09. Looks like the airport maybe has not registered any precip today at Bellingham Airport, at least not seeing any. So not a whole lot. We kind of talked about showers popping up. So there you go. That's kind of what we've seen today. Let's move on quickly to our updated Bellingham numbers at the airport, and we are well over. There is our 5.74 that we talked about last night, and our average normal is 5.20. Hey, we finally got the normal on this little map. Yay! So that's showing up. They've got that updated. That's great. So we're over a half an inch above normal for the month of November. That is better than last year where we were just a little bit under. Temperatures are remaining about 2 degrees warmer than normal for a low and about 2.7 for the high. So pretty warm month for sure. I'm not going to show you the accumulation map tonight. We've done that enough. We'll take a look at that in a few days again. We've already talked about up at the ski area. You got 27 degrees at 4,200 feet and 24 degrees at Pan Dome / Artist Point, about that height. Not a whole lot of precipitation while it's been under freezing, which it has been under freezing. In fact, it didn't even get to 30 at the ski area since last night. So, maybe there was a little bit of snow. If this is accurate, it looks like they had 3 inches of snow. Again, not sure this is working yet, 100%, because this snow height thing is messed up. And that's probably because it settles, and whether this is turned on, but it appears to be they got maybe 3 inches last night at the ski area. Again, I don't have any confirmation until they start reporting that up at the ski area. Good evening. I guess I'm not even sure what to call some of the people, but Fake Lady May. I'll just say that's who that is. And good evening. Glad you're joining. And I know people are probably busy getting ready for the Thanksgiving holidays and finishing work and have a big busy work week and maybe a shortened week, although there are a lot of people that still have to work on Thanksgiving Day. But glad to have you all, and I'll just keep checking these comments as we go. But let me continue on. Okay, there's a little bit of a error there. Okay. So checking the satellite here tonight. Let's put it into motion. Just kind of some, clouds, maybe a little bit of a next system coming in. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then, just not a lot we're seeing here that's screaming anything too much at this point, other than we'll talk about the mountain passes here in just a minute. That is not the tab I wanted to see. Okay, I think that's it that I wanted to show you on this. Let's get over to the weather models here tonight. So I'm going to flip them on. Hopefully you should be able to see the weather bell with the blues and the reds and the United States, the North American map. So we're looking at the GFS. Here, the 0Z that ran tonight. I'm just going to kind of double check. Looks like we're good to seeing it on YouTube. So let's put this in motion tonight. We've been learning a little bit about this, hopefully. And we've got a little bit of a, this trough or upper level low trough, whatever you want to call it, pushing off into Montana that we talked about last night. And here comes this kind of light ridge, which is not really going to stop much. And so as we push this into Tuesday, and we'll talk about this at the surface in just a minute, you see this, as we head later into Tuesday, this big upper level low kind of heading up there, as we talked about, up to the Maritimes or up into Northeast Canada or up into Maine, whatever you want to say. That's a pretty deep upper level low as we go into Thanksgiving. Here's our little bit of a trough Thanksgiving Day. We're going to have to take a peek about wind on that one. And then we have this developing Alaskan Ridge, or at least an attempt at Alaskan Ridge here on the GFS tonight. We got this cold upper level low that's down here. We talked about this all the other night as well, or that, I guess that was last night. And then this ridge, I did take a peek at this. This ridge does kind of retrograde back a little bit west, and that opens the door on tonight's run for this trough next week to show up right here. And then that trough ends up flying down to the south-southwest. And then this kind of, you see this cold air loaded up here also. And you see this retrograde over here out in the Pacific up into the Gulf of Alaska. I guess that's all the way up into the Bering Sea. And then you see that retrograde and see that trough. And then you see that kind of spin off down the BC coast here. That is quite a setup here. Again, this is crazy. That's all I'm going to say. This is so far out, and the models are changing from run to run. But look at this. All this coming up cold, air, and that's where that kind of ended tonight. Although I could refresh it, it's probably almost done. We'll take a look and see what this translates. Let's take a look at the 12Z Euro, which is the full run from earlier today. Here goes that trough off into the east, a little bit of this ridge. And then you see that this little bit of a trough, a little bit of a dip there over the western side of Washington. And this is Thanksgiving Day, and then here goes kind of this Alaskan ridge trying to make a setup. A lot of the cold air has gone into the plains here, and this is setting up this ridge. The strong ridge is pretty well set up too close to the Washington to much do for cold, or really, it's all slid east here. Now the Euro on the 12Z does try to retrograde this a little bit, and it tries to make an attempt next week to bring in a little bit, and then you got these cutoff lows destroying this. Not sure if you would like the pretty green color. Yeah, you may not. This would be cold and probably a bunch of snow here on this Euro up here into the northern Canada. But these little cutoff lows nuke the ridge that was over Alaska. Although here it comes again. Not sure I believe this scenario here. Here comes the ridge, and later in the run, here comes some attempt at cold air dropping down right there. So, there's a mother load of cold air, it appears to be up there, that might make a run at least into BC and then, into the plains. But again, this is way too far out, and I think this scenario right here is messed up. But that we'll see. We'll talk about that later as that progresses. We're going to take a look at the surface maps here in just a minute. Maybe I started late enough that we can watch the Euro tonight a little bit at the end, and the new run of the European model. And maybe we can do some comparison with the GFS earlier that we just watched. Let's take a look at the surface maps here. I'm going to quick refresh this. And again, thank you, Greg, for joining tonight on YouTube. Appreciate that. And we've got a few people watching there, and over on Facebook, we've got several of you. Thank you, Mickey, for the Thanksgiving message. A fair amount here on Facebook, but Christy up across the border, she's been a follower for quite a while, and she's giving a happy Thanksgiving to all of us from our Canadian neighbors, and we do love our Canadian neighbors, and especially the Tim Hortons that they give that we are able to get. And my brother, we were just talking about, there's a sushi place right across the Aldergrove crossing there on I think the White Spot, and there's a Tim Hortons. Fraser Highway, no, I can't remember the crossroad there, but anyway, across the border and at whatever the main road there is, you go into Aldergrove. And there's a sushi place there, and we enjoy going up and sampling and going to meals and coffee and all that. So we love going across the border, and Whistler was a great time in last month when my wife and I were up there. Anyway, I am off. Let me continue about the precip here. This is coming into Tuesday, and I think we're going to probably note that there's more rain coming in Tuesday than what we had seen yesterday, although let's see if the GFS tonight is going to try to show that. It's kind of shoving mostly down Skagit, Snohomish south. I'm wondering if that's a discrepancy, so we'll take a look at the Euro in a minute, but I thought there might be some more precip, but maybe it's just shoved a little bit further north, but not quite up to Whatcom County, at least on the GFS tonight. But definitely precip coming, Snohomish County down into Oregon on Tuesday into Wednesday. But we are staying fairly dry at least on this run. We'll take a look at the Euro. Here comes Thursday's system, and then you can see the precip starting to fill in, and a little bit up in the mountains. Here's where we're going to have issues, in the mountains on Tuesday night, tomorrow night. And we'll talk about that in just a minute when we look at the snow map. And Friday, GFS is not bad for precip. It's just pretty much giving it down here. I bet you there's a discrepancy with the Euro on this. And I think that's where we'll pull it off right there. So definitely precip coming down south of us on this run. Skagit and Snohomish and all the way down into southwest Washington. Let's take a look at the 18Z Euro for precip. Okay, and this was today's precip. We didn't have a whole lot. Looks like it got that pretty good. Okay, here comes Tuesday's system. I thought that the Euro would be a little wetter. Here's Tuesday's system. It is definitely giving us more rain at the airport probably just a little bit under a third of an inch, let's just say, on Tuesday. So there, it's definitely wetter. And I think if we compare this, hold on, let me see if I can pull this up here and compare this to the GFS. And let's see, I got to remember how to do this. There's, yeah, why isn't it doing it? There it is. Okay. And so there's, well, it's comparing the two 18Zs, but you can see over here the euro is wetter than the GFS here. The GFS is on the right, the American model. This is the European model, and you can see there is discrepancies. The European is wetter for us and less up here than the American. And we continue to put that into motion as we head into Thursday. Let's see what happens on Thursday's system. Here goes more rain. Yeah, the euro is just plain wetter. Okay, through Thursday afternoon, it's over about an inch of rain at the airport versus a third of an inch on the GFS. So you can see there's still discrepancies, about 70 hours out or so on how much precip. So I'm going to undo this. And so Thursday on the euro is definitely wetter. And then things kind of dry out toward there. And I think that ridge might assert itself this weekend and be dry and probably have some north flow coming with that. So let's take a look at the snow maps here on the GFS tonight. And this is where I do want to talk to you. In fact, I'm going to zero in on, and I already made a post about this, but I'm going to zero in on the state of Washington a little bit more. And you're going to see as we go into Tuesday on tonight's GFS, you can see, the mountain snow start picking up, like places like White Pass and Snoqualmie and then eventually Stevens. But see this snow coming Tuesday night into Wednesday. And this is about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Again, this is a low-res model, but you get an idea of the potential of a few inches to more snow. And again, you can't tell the elevation here, but definitely seeing some snow chances in the passes. So if you're going to travel Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then it seems to dry out Wednesday, you're going to have to be prepared going over, especially Stevens, Snoqualmie, White, those kind of passes. Not seeing much up in the northern Cascades. It's more in the central to southern Cascades. Now, as we come into Thursday, we start seeing some snow getting pushed up into the northern Cascades, and then we see the dry out here. And then that is before things are going to go crazy. Yeah, because that end of that run was cold, and here comes the snow. Yeah, look at this. That's what I was talking about. Even tries to give us, this is so far out, it's going to change about 300 times. So, anyway, that's the GFS. I'm not concerned too much about later on. I'm looking at tomorrow into Wednesday. Okay, so let's put the euro into motion for snow real quick here. And here comes the snow. Now, the euro has more snow pushed up towards all the way up here. Again, that has to deal with that system tomorrow is hitting more north. The system on the euro is brushing more up our way than the GFS has it. That's all. That's what it is, and that's why there's snow up here as opposed to the GFS that we just saw. So and then here comes the snow, and you're talking Stevens, Snoqualmie, down south, Mount Rainier, and White Pass Highway is at I believe Highway 12, and those kind of areas. So winter weather advisories out. And even a chance of freezing rain at Snoqualmie with a light glaze with the wind just picking up, and then you got a warm air above a cold frozen surface. So I'm just warning you, just be careful if you're going to try to take that pass or one of those passes tomorrow in the PM hours, afternoon into overnight hours of Wednesday morning. And then things should dry out Wednesday, later in the day. That's what it appears to me. By Wednesday, later morning, early afternoon, and then we go into Thursday. Here comes the system for Thursday. We got some more snow. That's probably good. Snow levels are going to be a little higher, probably. Again, we can't see the elevation here of where the snow is, but I'm guessing 5,000-6,000 feet here. So the upper halves of these mountains will, the upper reaches will definitely see snow even on the Thursday system, and then it looks like it dries out as we go into the weekend. As far as I can tell. Let's take a look at the latest wind map that has come out. Hopefully you can all see this still. Let me just double check. Yeah, this one's off a little bit. Let me see if I can fix this. Hold on. Let me see if I can move this over. Can maybe you see that better? Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's take a look at this wind map. And, oh, my video covers Skagit and Whatcom on the GFS map. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm sorry about that. No, so back on the snow map, because we blew it up. Is that why it was, hold on a second here. Let me see if I can figure out what happened there. Well, it looks like it's showing it on my setup. Let's see, your video covers Skagit and Whatcom on the GFS. Maybe you mean the UW map? I'm not sure which one you're talking about, Jen. Oh, and I had the two maps. Okay, fair enough. I got it. Sorry. So we're going to have to fix it when I do two maps side by side. Okay, back to the wind map then. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that now. I moved it to the center. Hey, good evening, Keith. Good evening, Alex. Who else have I missed? Everybody joining us on YouTube tonight. The regulars are all here, I think, just about. So let's put the GFS UW a little bit into motion here. Hopefully, again, you can see this. Let me fix that. Okay, so we got a little bit of southerly flow tonight, and we saw that. Maybe a little bit changed in easterly, northeasterly, with a battle of south winds later on Tuesday along the water. Let's continue this. Yeah, there seems to be this battle of southerlies and then easterly winds, and that could be what causes the freezing rain up at Snoqualmie too. You can see North Bend and these easterly winds at 4 o'clock tomorrow. So, but anyway, again, looks like a little bit of Fraser outflow popping up here on Tuesday. And then as we go into Wednesday, it continues. Things kind of tail off on Wednesday for wind, but then Thursday is where it gets a little more interesting. And this is going to depend on the track of the low. But we've got some easterly, northeasterly Thursday, but we've got southerlies really starting to pick up here on Thursday morning. And then you're going to see these southerlies are really starting to get going here along the water. And then as we progress through Thanksgiving Day, everything pretty much, eventually the southerlies went out. And here we've got some 35 knots, you know, there along the water and even inland. And then we've got some 30 knots, you know, we've got some good gusts going here, you know, into the 30s, maybe even some low 40s. As eventually the southerly winds out, the northerly made an attempt there, but again, this track of this low is going to, you know, make a huge difference. And let me show you something about this. And I'm going to show you this. This was the GFS. Actually, I'm going to pull up the, I think I was going to pull up the 18Z here. Here's the 18Z on Thursday. Here's that little low. And again, hopefully you can see that sitting off of the, you know, northwest tip, west of the northwest tip of, you know, Cape Flattery and the strait. And then it kind of dies east and kind of lands right as it's heading into the north, you know, the Olympic. But the tonight's run, I'm going to back this up. Tonight's run has it way further south. So that would change things, you know, on the wind side if that's where that ended. And I believe the Euro also had it south. So, again, it's going to have to deal with this low track. Let me go to the 18Z Euro. Let me just quickly find that for Thursday. Here comes this low. It'll come into view right here, right there, 1005. Nothing crazy. But see, it kind of hangs off the Oregon, Washington, you know, Columbia River area and kind of goes in here and kind of then dies as you go into Friday. So that track would not give us much, you know, it would give us more probably northerly winds and that Fraser outflow potentially. But if the track went more like the GFS 18Z, that would give us southerly winds. Now it appears that the UW is going more for the northerly track because we see, at least tonight, as opposed to last night, where we saw a northeast wind for most of the day on Thanksgiving. Tonight, as we go back, we're seeing southerly wind by the time we come into Thanksgiving evening. So maybe make sure that your turkeys are all cooked before the evening time. And last year we actually got knocked out of power by a squirrel. I think knocked our power out, knocked the fuse box out or whatever it is to set that off. But PSE was great to get the power back on with quickly, but kind of messed up the turkey plans for a little while there in the morning. But anyway, these southerlies are continuing into Friday on the GFS. So this is a little bit of a change from last night. And again, it's the track of the low. It's got to be. That's what's causing this. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. Okay? And then as we go into the weekend, here comes the Fraser outflow. Saturday. Here we go. And that's where it ends tonight. So we're starting to pick up on some cold northerly wind on Saturday. What would that do for temperatures? Well, let's take a look at the temperature map just a second. Let me grab the temperature map and let's see here. That's not the one I wanted. I want the Western Washington temperature map. Let's grab that one and I'll have to move it into here. And let's shut this down. Let me just move this into Saturday. And then we have to look at apparent dew points will also tell you. Let me see if we start. Here's some cold air coming in here to eastern Washington or into the mountains. I guess this would be maybe somewhere over in the Methil Valley and off toward Winthrop. And, here we got in the mountains. But we got some, cooler air. But we're pushing close to freezing here, a little bit above freezing here on Saturday at 1 a.m. And that's probably about as far. Yeah, and then that's below freezing. With this northeast wind, this is going to feel pretty raw right here. Okay? Potentially. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any other high-res maps I can pull up. I mean, let me see. Let me see what the Euro is saying for. Oh, and the Euro, by the way, is picking up on the northeast wind as well. I believe toward the, let's see, the 18Z. Let me pick up the 18Z here. It's trying to pick up some northeast wind on Thursday because, again, the Euro has the low, I believe, south. So there's that outflow on Thursday. And then I believe, didn't it pick up some on Saturday again? Yeah, maybe a little bit on Saturday, but the Euro has a hard time picking up. I mean, it picks it up, but it doesn't really pick up the amount of gusts potential, 19 miles an hour. But that looks like some more outflow on that Saturday into Sunday. I was going to look at temperature then, and I'm going to look at apparent temperature here. So let's take a look at the apparent temperature, which is kind of more with the wind chill added in, or the feels like temperature. Here is Saturday, late Friday night into Saturday morning. We're getting down into the 30s. Okay, but it feels 30 at the airport. Okay, let's go later into Saturday into Sunday. Yeah, the Euro's not really begin because the gusts aren't very high. It's not picking it up as much at this point. There we go. Sunday getting 29, feels like 32. Again, that's going to feel compared to what we've had for November. This could potentially feel pretty cold as we come in to the weekend. So, but it does appear dry for what I'm seeing, or at least mostly dry. Okay, let's take a look at some comments and questions here just to make sure I'm not missing anything, and then I'm going to go give a little more time for the Euro to come out tonight. I'm going to check Facebook first, and if you have any questions or comments on YouTube, again, make sure you like the post. The more you watch, the better it is for us, and et cetera, et cetera. So, subscribe. We need subscribers. So let me just again take a look at the comments here. Okay, nothing new on Facebook side. Keith is talking about the saying in the 40s, and I think he's talking about the outflow there is what he was seeing as well. So really appreciate the comments. The YouTube comments are really good over here. So there's a lot more interaction. Of course, we don't have any major weather other than the mountain passes that we talked about. Not a huge, major stuff coming. Maybe some southerly wind Thursday, possibly. Could be some outflow later in the week, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to quick switch over, and I wanted to show you one other thing here. And let's see if I turn this back on. Yep. And I'm going to turn this one off. I'm getting this figured out. Okay. Let's take a look at the forecast, see what the National Weather Service. Again, I pull up Linden just because that's where I live. We've got, not a big chance of rain until later tomorrow. So they are calling for some rain, 10th to a quarter of an inch. So kind of leaning more towards that Euro solution. Okay, Anthony was also talking about the Fraser airflow. Okay, good. Yep, so he's seeing the same thing. Tuesday night rain likely. Chance of rain on Wednesday. Wednesday night, Thursday we got more rain chances. And then, yeah, you got this little snowflake showing up, but we're not going to worry about that too much. But let's see, they're talking Wednesday night, Thursday, 1.5 inch on both of those nights. We've got some northeast wind listed. Thanksgiving Day, not talking about the winds yet. So, and then a chance of rain, a slight chance of rain, a slight chance. So partly sunny on Saturday and Sunday. See, I told you, drying out. Okay, Saturday night, they're calling for a low of 30 on Saturday night, and Sunday night 33. We could see a decent freeze, again, depending on the wind, because actually the northeast wind, I know this sounds crazy, will actually keep the temperatures a little warmer, so to speak, even though it doesn't feel warmer, because of what it does to prevent the coolest air from mixing down, so to speak. Or is it reverse of that? But the wind basically keeps it from being could keep it from freezing, although they are calling on Saturday night here in Linden, which is in an outflow area, for 30 degrees. So we're gonna have to watch with that clearing. We're gonna have some cold nights potentially, especially, let's take a look at Deming. Let's take a look at Deming for a forecast here, and let's just see what they have for a low. 28 on Saturday night and 30 Sunday night. Okay, and then if you took a look at Glacier, we're talking, there's a little bit warmer, 32 and 34. I'm just trying to think of, let me think. How about Mount Vernon? What is Mount Vernon, Washington, not New York, calling for lows? 33 on Saturday night and 35. So, I'm not saying there's going to be an area-wide freeze, but we're going to keep an eye on that Saturday night and Sunday night temps, and low highs just getting into the 40s. If we go back to Linden here, the high on Sunday 43, maybe Monday 44 at this point. So you can kind of see what's happening on that. I don't know if I need to mention any much more on the AFD. It says that we have another stronger system approaching Tuesday, and a lot of that precip is to our south. But again, if the Euro solution is correct, we're going to have more precip. If the GFS, it'll be a little drier tomorrow, but still potential of rain. Snow levels are going to be pretty low, and they're talking 8 to 10 inches at all the Cascade passes before snow levels begin to rise Tuesday evening. In addition, there is a chance of wintry mix at Snoqualmie Pass, i.e. freezing rain or some kind of mix, depending on how that warm air and over the cold wind comes over top of that, and the cold wind keeps it frozen at the surface, and it just depends on how deep those layers are. But 30% chance of freezing rain, I think that's at Snoqualmie before it turns over to rain later Tuesday night. Snow levels are going to rise above 5,000 by midday Wednesday. So if you're traveling Wednesday later, hold off until later in the morning. But the problem is everybody's going to do that, and that's a big travel day. So I don't know what to tell you, but tomorrow night could be dicey up in the mountains. If I was a storm chaser and I had free time, I'd be going up there because, assuming we're seeing everything correctly, there's going to be some problems up at the passes, probably especially Stevens. But Snoqualmie, if we get freezing rain at Snoqualmie, there, you can just imagine. So if you're going, make sure you do follow whatever they say, chains and whatever they have, because there's going to be some problems potentially up at the pass tomorrow night. So, and maybe if we do a live tomorrow night, we'll take a live look at what's going on up there. So, snow levels then are above 6,000 feet. And then we got this system on Thursday, and I think they're going to talk. Yeah, see, here's the associated surface low moving onshore somewhere along the Washington coast to the west coast of Vancouver Island. See, they're not sure because the models aren't sure. And so the approaching low will result in breezy to gusty winds, most likely along the coast. Again, the track will determine our gusty winds up here. There is discrepancy, as we've already said, and that's what they're saying right here. And then they say, do they talk about after Thursday? Temperatures will cool somewhat behind the cold front into Friday. Snow levels dipping back, but there's going to be a ton of precip, I don't think, left. Cool north to northwest flow, and a weak system may be brushing the area late in the weekend. So let me recap this here tonight. And while we're doing that, I'm going to put up a picture for you to look at so that you don't get bored and you can just kind of, I don't know, look at the picture. But this was a picture I wanted to show you. Hold on one second. This was a... actually, you know what? I have an idea sometime I'm going to do, but this was a picture I took the other day of the sunrise. So let me see if I can pull this up and I can get this to work. We shall see, because I'm still learning this. But I want to, while I finalize my forecast thoughts, I'll let you look at a pretty picture. So, and then I'll look at the comments and questions, and then, yeah, maybe even take a look at the radar and then call it a night here. But let me just see if I can pull this up here. Let's see if this works. Okay, hopefully you can see my sunrise picture from the other morning, and that this worked, and that you're not just looking at some map. Okay, so as we talk about what we're seeing then for this week, tomorrow potentially rain. More rain if it's the Euro is correct. GFS is a little drier, but still probably some rain, showery, whatever you want to call it. But if the system gets going, it'll be pretty widespread if the Euro is correct. And then as we go into Tuesday night, we got mountain pass issues, as we've already talked about. So snow, a few inches possible, et cetera, maybe even a little bit of freezing or some kind of wintry mix at Snoqualmie before the snow levels rise Wednesday morning, later probably. And then we've got more rain coming Wednesday night into Thursday with the potential of some wind. But again, the track of the low is going to determine how much. Then toward the end of the week, it's probably mostly drying out, cooler, with potential Fraser outflow at times. I think that's about the best I'm going to say. Cooling temps toward the weekend. And it's going to feel raw if we get that northeast wind going to any degree. And so let me also, I just remembered, I was going to show you this map. So let me turn this back on. Let me show you this forecast map here for where the purple, I guess that's a purple color, is where the winter weather advisory, and it's in the west, you know, these Cascades. It's not up into Whatcom County, and then it's the east slopes. And if you click on, for instance, this one, it's going to tell you there's a winter weather advisory in effect, and they're calling for 8 to 10 inches, including Stevens Pass, which is above, they're saying above 2,000 feet. They're saying the Cascades of Snohomish and northern King counties is kind of where this is where it would be. So there are winter weather advisories up here for the Cascades, just not our area, at least at this time. I'm not really seeing that would change. And then the eastern slopes, if you click on one of these, then you'll get the Spokane or Pendleton, Oregon, actually. Winter weather advisory, snow and isolated freezing rain, the upper slopes of the eastern Washington Cascades crest. And this is in effect from tomorrow 10 a.m. till 4 a.m. Wednesday. Okay? 5 to 10 inches, ice accumulations with a light glaze. So that just reminding you about this potential tomorrow night if you're going to take the passes again for the holiday weekend or the holiday, Thursday. Just be wary of tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. And then it appears like, things will warm up probably enough to turn to rain. They're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 snow levels, and just about every pass that I know of in this state is mostly above that. I think. Well, Highway 20 may have some passes at a little high about that height, but again, a lot of the precip was kind of more of the central Cascades. So, okay, I was going to show you the current radar, and I never did that, so let me just show you that as we end, then I'll take one more look at the comments. Let's see if I have this set up correctly, because I want to show you the radar, and there it is. So this is the current radar. We got some passing showers kind of into BC maybe clipping the northwest corner of the county, maybe a little bit up here into the foothills or Everson kind of area tonight, but just some kind of more up here in BC, Surrey, Cloverdale, you can see that heading up towards the river area. Even White Rock getting it there tonight as I zoom in. And you can see they've had some rain, and maybe even just across the border, maybe a little bit, in the Badger, H Street area, east of Blaine, and even through Blaine there tonight, Birch Bay Village as well. So those are kind of the rain showers that we're seeing tonight. Okay, I don't think I see any other comments on YouTube. Again, please hit the like button. Jennifer's asking me did I do the wrong UW tonight? Oh, yes, I sure did. I set this up wrong. Okay, hang on. You are correct, Jen. I did not look at that very closely because I must have started it earlier. Let me take a look at the wind gusts one more time because I had today's earlier run. So let me see if and I'll pull this map right back up for you guys. Let's look at that one. Sorry about that. She is correct. The 0Z, I was looking at today's 12Z. But again, it's going to matter the track of the low. It just depends on what run is where. Is going to determine how strong this wind really is. So let me just put this into motion here. There's that southerly wind along the water tomorrow. A little bit of northeast wind potentially tomorrow. Seeing that little east-northeast wind. Going to Wednesday, pretty benign Wednesday. Then Thursday, it wants to show some northeast wind. Thursday, yeah, you're right. It goes more northerly on this run and not the southerly. Again, it's the track of the low. The low is further south. So, yep, that is correct. I am so sorry I had the wrong run up tonight. You are correct. So, yes, this run tonight is not showing that southerly wind. So, I apologize. I thought I had that set up. It said it was 2 hours, whatever. I had refreshed it, but for some reason, I must have clicked on it earlier tonight and didn't refresh the actual window I had opened. So, but again, it's the track of the low. That's what's going to matter. Okay, Josh is joining here on YouTube and asking about frost on the windshields tomorrow. Like we did see a little bit this morning, and that question came up last night, was about fog. And we pulled the cloud cover map up. The last thing we did, I think, last night. And I did notice some clearing as we came into the morning hours. And I was like, I don't know if we'll have too much fog. But with that clearing came a little bit of frost, Dewey Valley. And when I was out shooting pictures this morning on a woodland road over by Birch Bay Linden, there was a car that was iced up. So, it was iced over the side of the road. So it had frozen. It was 32 degrees. I don't really think it froze much here in Linden. Maybe a little light, but not much. But tomorrow, let me just take a look at that tomorrow here. And yeah, I mean, again, it's probably going to depend on if there's any change in the cloud cover. At this moment, it's saying, like Linden 36. And let me just see if I can pull up the cloud cover map. Let me grab that here, switch this back on. Hold on a second. I got to get this one up. Okay. And let me go back to the HER on Pivotal Weather. Just a second here. This is the second time this has come up, so probably should add this window in. Let me just pull this up real quick. Just give me 1 second here. And let me pull the cloud cover. Okay, so cloudy here at the beginning of this 0Z run. Let's see, what's the newest run? Let me pull up the 3Z. Okay, so cloudy. Let me put this into motion here. Cloudy. Hold on. Okay, there it is. It always puts it at the end for whatever reason on this updated pivotal weather that they have now. But, okay, clouds as we come overnight. Clouds. Let's see, this is 13 minus 8. 5 in the morning, 6, 7. I mean, it's showing most clouds the whole time. So, I mean, Could it freeze? I suppose in very cold pool areas, or maybe where it's, if there's any clearing, but I'm not seeing much on this her run tonight, that there'd be much for clearing. We did see that last night on the run, and we did see some clearing at times on as we came into sunrise time. So that is why it got down that low. So I would say overall, my best guess is most areas no to frost. Maybe the cold pool areas again, like Dewey Valley. But again, I think it would have to clear a little bit. And at least the her's not trying, really showing that. So, okay, let me check Facebook one more time. Again, I want to thank you all for joining. Really appreciate this. I really appreciate the likes. Thanks, Carol, for the stars. Really appreciate that. And if you're wondering how you might help Whatcom County Weather, let me just put a plug in for this. And I know we'll probably plug this more when we get into a storm setup. But let me just bring up a couple of things for you to see here. And I'm going to switch my windows again. So hang on one second. I'm getting better at this. So you can see Whatcom County Weather on Facebook now is brought up. And right at the top of the page, we have our link to our fundraiser, which is through a GoFundMe. And there's also a Venmo and check. You can mail checks and my PayPal. And we have had a, I don't know, $1,500, maybe closing in on $2,000 worth of donations. We're kind of shooting for $6,000, $7,000 to kind of offset my not having to work a second job, and also helping the other people, Jennifer especially, who spends a lot of time on this page and working and is basically volunteering hours. And so we have, given a fair amount, trying to support her a little bit, because she is a new grandma and taking care of a grandson off and on, and we're trying to help her out, and runs a little small business, I guess. But so anyway, if you can give that link to the GoFundMe, it's this beautiful twin sister barn picture I took. We call it Peaked Perfection. And then another way you can, of course, help us is by, and is helping the photography side that I have going. So you can go to randysmall.com, you can hit the start shopping, and you can find the puzzles and the calendars. Got 4 different kinds this year, and the coasters, and we got greeting cards, and then Whatcom County Weather gear, any of those things. And I have tried to put some of this stuff, except the ear flap hat, that is not on sale, but try to put some of that stuff on sale. But if you want to support, that is one way you can as well, because it just helps me not have to work. I used to work 2 jobs. Well, I guess I work about 4 jobs now, but anyway, so just appreciate it. Appreciate your help. And again, we have tried to make this free, and we've kept it free. There is no charge to anybody. We don't, at this point, no subscriptions. There's just I don't have that going, because we've been supported off of the donations over the years, and then the photography. And so as we come back to this, if you don't have the money to donate, don't. If you can't afford it, don't. We want you to put your money toward where you need it. And if you can't afford it, you still get the weather forecast. You still can watch the videos. You can still, everything is free. I don't have a subscription at this point. There's like no special thing for people that, if you subscribe and pay me $1.99 a month, then you get this. I suppose I could start that, but I haven't. And I'm not trying to put down others that do it that way. That's just how they choose, and that's great. But again, I want to make sure I'm trying to make it all free. And by the way, I'll just let you know right now, I'm probably going to put some fair amount of money into, I have hired somebody to redo this website, WhatcomCountyWX.com, which WX is Morse code for weather. I am going to have this, and let me click off of that so that shows up a little better. We're gonna have this redone and more, hopefully user-friendly, so the road condition cameras, and we're gonna have more webcams. We're gonna put some BC webcams, get those updated. We're gonna put this, try to get these Nooksack River, the hydrologic gauges have they've switched pages, so I need that updated. So I have hired this out, and I want to be able to promote this page. We're going to update this hopefully with some better things, take away this blog because we're not using it, and just get this looking. We're going to get a new theme, new background. We're going to use some of my pictures, and there won't be any money behind that. It's just a way I use it all at my website all the time. But it'll be able to, I can share this better. It'll look fresher. It'll look just, overall, I can get a newer picture, and et cetera, et cetera. So looking forward to that. Okay, I'm rambling now. I think we will say a good night to everybody, and maybe we'll see you tomorrow night. Maybe we'll take a live look at some snow up at the passes, and hopefully they don't get shut down. But if you are crossing them tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, be prepared for snow and or some wintry fun. Okay, have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.